Next up is clip number 3, where Midge solves a mystery, and it's a wonderful story. And also, you'll be introduced to Janice and Jeanette, two ladies that Midge has helped with their research. And it's going to talk about how the three of them met, and also some photos actually taken in Switzerland of some churches and some cemeteries and the beautiful scenery there. And then the last part of clip 3 will be a visit that Midge made to Switzerland, the places that she's actually researching.
And Midge, you told me about a favorite mystery that you helped to solve. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. One of my patrons, who happens to have 4 grandparents that came here from Switzerland, so her whole genealogy is Switzerland, Ticino, the Italian canton. And she found recently this picture of a great aunt that said on the back, this was Carolina Rigetti and Irma. And I had done research on Carolina's family, her husband, and all of their children, I thought. But we didn't have an Irma as a child. So this patron wanted me to find out who this baby was. So I went back to the Someo, Ticino, Switzerland microfilms and looked up baptisms for Rigettis. I had found, 5 of the children. So I had to go from the last one forward to see who I missed, if I missed this little girl. Well, in 1890, there's a baptism for a Flora Ermelinda Rigetti. And I thought, Ermelinda, that had to be Irma. But it did not name her parents in the baptism records, so I never considered her as their child. But I told this patron that I think we're going to have to assume that this is Irma. The name is right, the age is right for the time period of this picture. And so we did. I added her to my PATH file as a child of theirs. But then I learned about a relative of a friend here in Santa Maria who has a relative she's in contact with in Someo. And I sent her a copy of the family group that included Flora as the youngest child. And she sent me back my family group sheet with added information on the parents, on the girl, on her sister, their death dates, who they married, and proved that that little girl was Flora Ermelinda with no mommy and daddy named in the record. And then we learned, too, that Carolina, her death date, the woman told me that she died in a catastrophic event in 1924, which turned out to be this catastrophic landslide, rock slide that devastated Someo, and 24 people were killed, among whom was Carolina. So that was sad news, but at least we got more information, and it went overseas and back, and we were pretty proud of ourselves.
Well, we're here at the Family History Center with Midge on the right and Janice in the middle and Jeanette on the left. And we're going to hear the story of how they connect and how Midge has helped them, these ladies, connect with their ancestors in Switzerland. Let's start with you, Jeanette.
Well, we met because I've always wanted to know about my grandparents and what their life was like. And I've worked really hard trying to find the key to that. And I went to here before Midge and nothing. And then I went to Santa Barbara, genealogy down there, and they were no help. And then in frustration, this is about a 5-year period, I came back here, and there was Midge. She was the key to the door back in Switzerland. And I'll never forget that.
Tell us your family name.
My family name, my mother was an Ostini, and my dad was a Tignazzi, and I married the Signs.
How about you, Janice?
I'm Janice Barker Battles. I'm third generation, and my grandparents came from Switzerland in 1878 and also in 1901 when my grandfather went back to marry his wife. And I became interested in genealogy after my parents died, sadly, because that happens so often. You don't think about it when you have your loved ones with you. And when they're gone, you have no one else to ask the questions to. So therefore, I started with a family group sheet, and I ended up going to the Family History Center in Lumpoke because Santa Maria at the time didn't have a family history center that I knew of. And when the library opened in Santa Maria, I started coming in and I did a lot of microfilm reading. This was probably in the 70s. And then I put it aside for probably 10 years while I raised my family and had some free time. And one day I walked in and they said, well, what are you working on? And I said, I'm working on my Swiss heritage and I'm at a loss. I can't move any further. And they said, oh, we have someone, Midge Buchert. She'd be happy to help you. Well, I didn't realize there was a line there waiting for Midge. Anyway, she graciously worked me in. And
What number were you?
I have no idea. Two?
Hazel was
I was 3.
And so anyway, I'm so grateful to the Family History Center Library, and I'm so grateful to Midge because I've learned so much. And I thought I was so smart and had all that I needed. No.
You had what we
Midge.
needed, though.
Yes.
Midge, could you reiterate that story of how you first met these ladies and also Hazel?
I thought that they had come in looking for someone to help them translate because Glenn said he's got these women that want to meet me. So I think it was the same week they all 3 came in. And so I started helping these two. I was on one reader and then I go over to Jeanette's reader and then back to Janice. And I thought, I can't do this, because you have to concentrate. It takes lots of concentration. And then Hazel came in, Hazel Klein, and they all had Swiss ancestors from Ticino. And then I decided I had to, was it draw numbers?
Yep.
Or
And I was the lucky.
No, it wasn't.
You drew numbers 1, 2, and 3.
Before we drew numbers, Jeanette came in on Monday, Hazel on Wednesday, and Janice was Friday. So I came in 3 days a week to work with each of them, individually. And then I did that for about a year, and I thought, I can't do this anymore either. So I decided that they were going to draw numbers. And I would just take one, work with that until I was through, then take the next one, work with her until I was through. But this one, all 4 of her grandparents are Swiss, Italian Swiss.
I'm
so
second generation.
So luckily she was last, or they'd still be waiting.
Janice, have you made any trips to Switzerland?
Yes, I have. I've made a number of trips to my parents' homeland, and I started traveling there in 1993 and have made numerous trips, like I have said. And it was very important for me to take my daughters and my 3 daughters and grandchildren to the roots of their family. and to go to the villages and to meet relatives that are still living there in the Valley Maggia in the Ticino area of Switzerland. And it was a very emotional trip. The first time I went, I cried more than I laughed because of the deep feeling in my heart that my father would be so happy that I traveled there and saw where he also traveled and lived and worked. And my grandfather, when he walked out of the valley, he walked over the Alps, and he looked up at the mountains and said, "I'll never be hungry or thirsty again." And he never was, to my knowledge. I still have family there in Origino and Mogegno, and we had property there, which we have now just turned back over to the family. And these are memories that my grandchildren and my children will never forget. Even their husbands have said that that was the most emotional trip they've ever taken.
Jeanette, have you also visited Switzerland?
Yes, I have. I've been there twice. The first time I went, my daughter and I, and we just went all over Ticino, and because I wanted to see, because of Midge, I knew where I was looking. I wanted to see certain churches because all four of my grandparents came from Switzerland. So you can say I'm 100% Swiss. And there's a joke in the family. Anyway, my kids are 50% Swiss. Anyway, because of that, I wanted, Midge made me go. I've never been to Europe, never had a desire to go to Europe except Switzerland. And I wanted to see where my grandfather and grandmothers were lived, and the conditions, but more important, the churches, because Midge and I have found, Midge has found all the marriages, and I made a list who got married, and then because of that information, I did a book, and I went to every church, and I took pictures, but this is the most important. This is Sameo, where my grandfather came from, and he left Switzerland at the age of 16 in 82, never to go back to Switzerland again. And then he watched his wife get off it wasn't his wife then, this girl get off the boat in 1888. And he told somebody, he says, "I'm going to marry her." And he did in 1890. So, and they had 3 children up in Morro Bay, where he worked on a dairy. And I always thought he was working on his sister's dairy. And because of Midge, I found out not only was it his sister that he was working for, but he was working for a cousin, because she married a cousin. It turned out. Anyway, it's a tangled story when you start figuring it out. But I enjoyed it so much. And I said, I have to go back. And I went back, and this time Midge went with me. And my daughter, is the organizer of everything. And Midge wanted to see the door of my church. And she was thrilled with that until she got to her church. And her church was bigger. But it's an emotion to walk on the ground that your relatives came from. And I always had this dream. I wanted to know about my Swiss relatives. Well, it's the only relatives I have. Anyway, that was my big reason. And I loved it so much. And because Midge did so much, I had to get Midge to go. She had to, because she did all this work, and she had to see what she was doing. And I can't thank Midge enough for that.
Well, it was Glenn Nelson that hinted to me
he said, I think Jeanette's going to take you to Switzerland with her. And I thought, what's he talking about? I'd never been out of this country. I didn't have a passport. And so one day she did ask me, and I said, well, Glenn told me that you were going to ask me. She says, I've never talked to Glenn about this. So it was a total surprise, but I didn't know if I could go or whatever, but she said, you have to have a passport. So I thought, well, I can't go if I don't have a passport. So I got a passport. And we had the most wonderful time. And her cousin Rosa, who lives over there, was our ambassador. Everywhere we went, Rosa was with us and would talk to the people if they didn't speak English, and took us to places that beautiful, and all the churches.
And she cooked for us.
And she cooked for us.
Gracious.
Polenta. And
yeah, and the ethnic food.
Traditional food. So it was the trip of my lifetime. It was absolutely wonderful. I'm so grateful to have been invited.
Oh.
And her daughter was terrific. She was our porter, our chauffeur. She
Our
was
driver,
everything.
everything. But she made it possible.
Clip 4 is our last clip, and it's going to be talking about the Swiss Miss T-shirts and the significance of those. Also, the Santa Rosa, California reunion, which was a few years ago. Also, a kind of an interesting statement about the Swiss descendants' interest in their ancestry. And then we'll show a surname list. And I wanted to be sure everyone knows that the resources that are listed in the video are a little bit outdated. We've updated those in the handout. If you don't have the handout, please contact Susan Cox through the San Luis County Genealogy Society, and she'll help you get a copy of the updated handout, which was made for this this monthly meeting. And that'll be the end of the video clips, and then we'll have question and answers. Thank you.
Tell me about those Swiss Miss T-shirts you have on.
Well, I learned about a reunion from a fellow in Someo that we met on my trip to Switzerland, Luca Invernizzi. He was kind of like the mayor of Someo, showed us around, and he and I had been emailing back and forth since then, and then he let me know that there's a group planning this reunion in Santa Rosa for the Valley Magia Swiss, and if I needed information about it, I should contact this woman in England. She's a Righetti, Lafranchi, everything else, Diana Neal.
All in my family tree.
Right. She's related to Jeanette, we found out. Anyway, so I contacted her, and she gave me all the information, so I let these girls know, and you know, about this reunion, and everybody was on board.
Yep.
And Denise wanted to go with us too, and a cousin,
My niece,
Austin.
my cousin, my first cousin.
and
Austin cousin.
so I thought, well, here we're all going. What if there's a whole crowd and we lose one another? So I thought, I'm going to have these T-shirts made for us, so we'll stand out. We'll know where we are, where our friends are. And we were the hit. Everybody was thrilled with our T-shirts. In fact, we were on the front of the little newsletter on the
SwissInfo.com. They sent a representative reporter, and I think that is what the shirts were responsible for standing out. And she interviewed us, and the picture was on
the front page.
The front page of the
And then there was a little gal there that we met, Maria Luisa.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to know where I got these shirts.
And
So
she was from Switzerland.
She was from Switzerland. In fact, she didn't speak real good English, but her son did. Her son was with her. Charming young man. Anyway, I said, I'll just have them made for you and send you there, because I didn't know what size. And she had a sister, so I figured, well, if she can wear one and her sister can wear the other one. Anyway,
Midge
she was so grateful. She sent me a little gift afterwards thanking me for getting her Swiss.
She was
T-shirts.
totally responsible for these shirts, and what a marvelous idea that was, for sure. my grandson, who is going to college up there in that same area, heard that I was coming up for the reunion, and he showed up. So that only reinforces his interest in the genealogy. And so I was forever grateful to Midge for passing that info on.
They interviewed me, and I asked them, well, why is this big interest from Switzerland in this? And he said, well, we were really wondering if the Swiss immigrants were at all interested in Switzerland, whether they've lost us. And I said, no, we're fascinated. We're tied to Switzerland. We can't help it. Then she's Valley Maggi. I'm Valley Maggi half, but the other half is all over Switzerland. I cover all, when I say Swiss, all over Ticino, the Italian section. Yeah.
And then Diana came from England, so we got to meet Diana. We had dinner with her and a couple other gals.
Weren't there some people from Australia?
Yes, some people from
Also-
Australia came, Swiss descendants, and Troy Goss.
Well,
That I'm still in contact with Troy and Diana because they throw these problems at me and I try to solve them.
Victor family, Victor Tina City's family actually came from Australia. They were
Switzerland to Australia
and
to
then to
California.
So, but
So we met him there, and
yeah, I was thrilled to see Victor because
we met a gal who's even works at Salt Lake City at the library, Family History Library in Salt Lake.
But you talk about that trip, we found Lisa Stone,
Yes.
and she's my cousin. And the funny part of Lisa, my cousin that came with us, who's wearing the red shirt, she had no connection with Valley Maggi. She was the other part of Switzerland. And she turned out she's related to Lisa through the Austinis, and I'm related to her through the Janices. And it gets to be a small world. So,
Because Diana told me about Lisa and gave me her information. So I contacted Lisa. She's here in California, Lisa is. And she's been up a couple times.
Uh-huh.
She got that picture of the Ethel Pope Auditorium. And she's come up for lunch, and then I had them all for lunch a while back when she came up, because her mother's still here. So we met a lot of great people and are still connected, and it's just been a rewarding experience for me. I mean, I feel like these people are my family too. I found them all. They're mine.
Well, she knows as much about our family as we do, and
not
one
more.
of the, just the good stuff. But I forgot to mention one really important factor that has helped me tremendously in my research and documentation is because of Midge, and that is the old Latin church records, which verifies the facts, and she has been able to transcribe them, and without those, it's a lot of it is hearsay. So I am so appreciative of that. I'll never ever be able to thank you enough for that.
Well, because the priests had to write down when they performed a baptism, performed a marriage, performed the last sacraments.
And they tie the families.
well, say how they tied it. They'll say the name of the child, and then they say,
Son of so-and-so,
So.
who's the son of so-and-so. So on a baptism record, you can get 4 generations sometimes, or 3 for sure.
Yes.
and it
it
depends
helps.
on.
Of course, when you have all these Rigettis, then you got to figure out Rigetti's son of so-and-so, and this Rigetti's the son of somebody other, and
The Rigettis are a mess, and so
confusing.
are little Frankies. Little Frankies are another one that it just
but that
goes on.
that helps you identify who this child is, because he's the son of so-and-so, who was the son of somebody else, different name.
And in those small villages, they married a lot of the people of the same names. And so without those church records,
You can't
figure it out. So that's an invaluable source, and I hope we'll have access to it digitally soon.
Soon.
I have a question about the Santa Rosa, California reunion, which was held last year. About how many people do you think attended?
Plus or minus 200.
Oh, yes, I would say.
About that, yeah. And it was a 2-day.
Right.
The first day was the big day.
Yeah.
The second day we got about half, but it was still
interesting.
But I don't think a lot of people knew about it. It was the first reunion, and now word of mouth, I think if they have another one, it'll be much larger.
Who do people contact if they're interested in the reunion?
Would it be Diana? Neal?
The upcoming one, which is in June next year, Diana, Neal, or Troy.
Midge has a story now that's not, was not included in that because it's a brick wall that was broken through this year. And I have some slides to show you so you can see what she's talking about. But you want to introduce it, the story?
Oh, I was working on a Tonasha here in California who married a Aguera, and they're both from Sameo. So I was kind of curious about the family and did Giocondo Tonasha's genealogy in Switzerland in Sameo, and learned that he had a mother whose name was Anna Maria Giacometti. She was the daughter of a Joseph Giacometti. So I wondered when she was born, and I checked the Someo baptism records, and there were 2 Joseph Giacomettis having children by 2 different wives and kind of overlapping one another. So I didn't know who Anna Maria was the daughter of. And I did find a baptism for one Anna Maria, but she died at 6 years old, so that wasn't her. And one of the Josephs had married a Tognazzi, which is Jeanette Sains's ancestral line in Sameo. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if she was related to Jeanette? So I couldn't find her baptism at all. So I wrote to Luca Invernizzi, the fellow that we met in Sameo, that showed us around Sameo. He showed us the vault in downtown Sameo that had the 1843 census for Sameo and showed Jeanette her family, Tognazzi. Tells the parents' names, their birth dates, when they married and when they died. And so I hadn't heard from Luca for quite a while, but I wrote to him just last month and asked him if he would help me with this problem, because Anna Maria, she had married a Delidio, And she would be on this 1843 census because she was still alive then. And I hoped that it would have who her mother and father were. So within a couple of days, Luca emailed me back, gave me the information, and she was indeed the daughter of a Tognazzi Giacometti. So she's related to Jeanette. So I found out who her parents were so I could extend her line in this Giocondo Tenacious pedigree chart. But it was just made me happy, made Jeanette happy. She found a new relative.
Right. Now, Luca what was his job in the town?
Well, his email is Segretario Maggia. So I guess he's the secretary of the Valley Maggia.
Kind of like a clerk?
I don't know.
Okay, we
Just
think it might be like a
Very,
clerk.
very nice man, very helpful to us. And he's been to California. He knows Righetti's here, visited
Okay.
with him. So he was very helpful.
This is the email that he sent. And the one that with all the answers on it is right here, all of Midge's notes and what was found out by the record that he sent.
Mhm.
So it was great for her to have this living contact who had access to the records there, which was really amazing.
Yes, yes.
So that was the brick wall that was, I can't find my cursor. Okay, I'm gonna get out of that. Stop sharing. All right, well, we still have time for questions. And during the break, we were looking at some things and I want to give a couple people some information and then we can try to take some more questions. For Deirdre, I don't know if she's still on here. There you are. It's hard to see everybody. Now I know what the teachers feel like. Okay. So we found at the search website with the catalog, there are 3 films for Arolo, but they're just films. So we can't get them. We can't order them. They are digitized, but there's no access to them yet unless you go to Salt Lake City. Now, we do assume that these eventually will be available to look at, probably at a family history center near you. But I can give you the film numbers if you would like.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Okay, so they're all going to start with 175 because that's that part of Ticino.
Okay.
So 175, 1270.
Okay.
Items 3 through 5. And then also 175, 1271.
Okay.
And 175, 1272. And there will be, the first film will be baptisms, the second film will be marriages, and the third one is deaths and some baptisms and marriages, just various years. Okay, so that, I hope that will help you out. Hopefully in the future, those will be available at the Family History Center or even maybe at home. For who, I forgot to write this down, whoever was looking for Berenke, all that Midge, I can't find it in the chat really quickly. All that we could find. Okay, raise your hand really quick. Where are you?
Deanna.
Okay. Oh, Deanna. Okay, sorry. I couldn't find it quick enough and I didn't write it. She has no Berenkes in her file, but she has only Berenkos. Want to say any more about that?
Do you know where your Berenkes are from? It might be Berenko, and they're from Daro, a village called Daro, D-A-R-O.
Yeah, this side is my great grandmother, both of her parents came from there. And this side I'm cut off once he came to Santa Rosa. So I'm not really sure where he was born. I just have his birth date in Switzerland. So I'm not sure which canton he was in.
Was it before 1900 that he was born?
He was born in 1858.
And what was his name?
Charlie Baranki.
Okay, I don't have any Charles. So it
And
must
then his
be
his wife's name was Amelia Rossi, Rossi.
okay. There's lots of Rossies, and in about that area, but I don't have it as Baranki, and I don't have a Charles at all.
Could you have the wife maybe, Rossi, or no?
Very common.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's all she has for that name.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Appreciate your time.
Okay.
Sure.
And then for Janice Zarati, we need to have Henry Ernest Pizzoni's father's name if possible, or mother's name. And if you would like to, you could put your email in the chat and I can write that down, and Midge could help you if we can get just one more generation back, okay?
Okay,
Because I
that,
have a lots of Pizzonis.
Oh, there she is.
hi. Yeah, that would
Hi.
be great. I'll put my email in the chat. I'd really appreciate that.
Okay, great. Well, I'll look for it right now. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. All right. So I think that kind of catches us up from the first hour. And so I don't remember, let's see.
What about that Rigetti that had a Peter Rigetti?
Right.
Because I have him.
All right. Right. That's right. Where did I write that down? We have a lot of pieces of papers here. Just a second. Pieces of paper. It's on the back of this one. The Peter Rigetti. Say something if you had the Peter Rigetti, please. Information.
Oh, was it Raphael? It was
Oh,
Raphael.
it was
I
Raphael.
had Robert, who has a son, Peter, but I think you said Robert's father was Peter also.
Oh, I think it was it Peter Tognazzini?
Peter Tognazzini.
That's what it was. It wasn't
Oh,
Peter
it wasn't.
Rigetti.
Oh.
We mixed the two names.
Okay, it's a Tognazzini.
Yes, the one born in October 1852. We did find that. That is for Holly. Holly, we have your email, so we might be able to see some more. Okay.
1852. That's him.
Yes.
JP.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do you want to tell her more about him really quick?
Okay. I have a birth date of October 1st, 1852 in Someo. And he died in 1932 in Cayucas. Does that sound right for your Tognazzini?
You're getting thumbs up.
Okay,
Oh,
all right. We don't see all the faces right now. It's 2 pages. All right.
His father was a Johannes Petrus Tognazzini and his mother was Maria Magdalena Caligari.
All right. So,
And he was one of 4 children that I have. But you said he had a brother, Danielle? Or
yeah, we couldn't find that. A sister. It's Sister Daniela. We haven't found her. She's not in this file. But Holly, we can send you by email a family group and a pedigree. All right, for Peter. All right. Back to Janice. I'm going to be looking for your email. Hold on. I just want to finish that up before. I see it. Thank you. Is that a JL? Yes.
Yes, it is. JL.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a J. That pencil writing doesn't look good. All right. So let's go back. Kathy said we should do another reunion. I think they should. That's my comment for that. Yes, at the very end, Kathy, at the very end, I have a screenshot that is the Family History Center here in Santa Maria, the address, the phone number, the email, and the hours. We are actually opening this week on Tuesday. We're so excited. There will be limited seating. It will be a smaller amount of people, and also everyone needs to wear a mask, and that's on the page too. So I'm gonna, actually that's in my shared screen. I'll go back to that, and I think I'll just leave that open for a little bit, even while we're talking. And oh wait, you know what? When I do that, I can't see the chat. So okay, I see a Badashi question. I didn't see that surname. They got a raw deal from Hearst. Eventually left, but they were here. Oh, I've seen Badashis related to my brother-in-law's Musios. Like they were marriages. Badashi, I think I said that right. Is that right?
Well, I would say Badowski, but.
Oh, Badowski. Okay. Sorry about that.
Huh?
And the Vali Maja Family's
don't
Facebook page
know.
is really wonderful. That's done by Diana Neal. So do you have any?
I have no Badowski.
She doesn't have any Badowskis in this file. In this file, for everybody, so you know, it's called the Branya file. If you do come to Santa Maria Family History Center and Midge is here or I am here, we can help you look in the file. We're not sharing it with everybody, but we'll do lookups for you here and printouts, okay? I'm looking, Amelia Rossi, you said Rossi was, oh, this is the same with Deanna Grove. She's adding some more information. Amelia Rossi, born April 10th, 1864.
No, I have lots of Rossies. Amelia or Emilia?
Emelia.
Okay, I have no Amelia.
We don't have an Amelia Rossi. All right, I'm looking for hands and also other chat questions.
Andy, it's
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
There's a question. Somebody's wondering what drew the families from Ticino to California.
Right. And Midge and I were talking about that during the break because we did see that question. And we don't really know all the whys about that ourselves. She mostly is into researching the records of the people.
I think you could kind of guess because when they went to Australia, they were looking for gold. And I think they came to California, possibly looking for gold too. They thought they were going to make it rich and send money home to the families. That's the only thing I can think of.
Right. My brother-in-law's ancestor, Giuseppe Musio, he came here and I believe there were definitely already family members here and he started immediately working on a dairy farm. And then he slowly moved from Marin County, slowly moved south till he was in Santa Barbara County. And so I don't really know what his true purpose was in coming, except for he knew he probably could have work and eventually get some land. So, and that's the case with many people who leave their home countries. But if we can only talk with them for, an hour and find out all the whys, why did they do this? Why did they move? That would be so interesting. Does anybody have any more lookups they would like Midge to do? Oh, there's a hand right here. Megan. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Midge. Hi.
Oh, we're getting an echo.
Let's see. No. I was wondering, are there any Swiss societies in California?
Oh, good question. Does somebody else know?
I'm echoing here.
I know they used to have Swiss clubs back in the last century, in 1900s, in San Luis, mainly. But I have no idea if they still use them anymore. But you wanted to know why sometimes your name was spelled Brocco or CHI, and it's just how the priest wrote them down. But I could connect each family, regardless of how the last name was spelled. The people were the same people. It's just how the priest wrote it down.
Okay. I'm just gonna chat because we're echoing.
Take your speakerphone off.
You ready for another question? Hello? It's Gary.
Get muted. Wow. Okay. Go ahead.
Who am I talking to?
I think you're talking to Gary.
Hi, Gary. This is Midge.
I got a couple, I went back during the break and looked up a couple of my brick walls. And you can jump on it really strong later if you contact me, but I have Serafina Leone, who was born in Magano, married in Magano, and wound up in Soledad, California. I have not been able to find her birth or marriage record in Magano, and I've got all the Magano films here in Monterey.
Oh,
Wow, that's
She was
good to
married
know.
on
Thanks for that insight.
Leone?
Yeah,
And her name
that was one of my other comments I wanted to make, but let me get this first. She was born on 2 February 1855,
You see what she looks like?
and
She
she died.
does have a Serafina Leone.
Huh?
Let's see.
She's born 1815, though, the Serafina Leone
Right.
I have.
She was born 2/2 of 1855.
All right. The one she has was born in 1815.
No,
But
She
I
married-
do have Leone's.
yeah. She married a Giacomazzi on 9 May 1874 in Magano, according to the family records.
Huh.
And I cannot find her birth or marriage.
Morgano, do we have?
I have
If you
Mogano.
wanna-
And these
If you
people
want to
seem be-
research it when you're spare time and then send me an email, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
I don't want to, I
It
want
looks like
to get in.
the Leones come from different places. I have one from Cantoni, one from Minusio, and one from Mogano, and
She had 5
one
sisters
from
and brothers.
Robasato.
Yeah, she had 5 sisters and brothers, and they were all born in Magano. And one of the brother was my wife's great-great-grandfather who came to California.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that will be a job for me.
Yeah, there you go. Like I said, I tried and tried and tried, and I just can't
Okay.
find that her birth. I can find the other 5 kids' births. Oh, by the way, if you want it, her parents were Filippo Leone, and her mother was Liberata Minetti.
Liberata Minetti. Okay.
Now,
That's something to go on.
second question.
Okay.
Do they have any emigration, people leaving and going back and forth from Switzerland, travel records or whatnot? Because going back to my Morelli family, or my wife's Morelli family, excuse me, his father was Michael Morelli, and supposedly he left when the grandfather was 15. Him and his father went to Australia for 8 years, came back to Sarajevo, I still can't say it right, but
Savio.
Savio. They came back to Savio in 1864. His mother died in 1869, and he supposedly came to the United States to Monterey County, California, and went into the dairy business. And he left here and went back to Switzerland in 1878. I can find no record of his movement anywhere. I can't find him in Monterey County. I can find him, like I said, I can find his information in Savio. Anyway, and it's in Switzerland. But I would sure love to prove that he went to Australia or he came to Monterey County. But unless they required passports or whatnot back in those days to get in and out of Switzerland, I don't know where else to go.
Well, I don't really either.
Okay.
I translate the marriages, births, and
Yeah, there's
deaths.
another research for you if you want.
Those Stato Donimes, those census records that they have. I've looked at some from Gordavio showing the Filipponi family and several others, and they would note on these census records, now in California, now in Australia.
Oh.
And had different notes on them. And sometimes I did find a death record in Gordavio for a girl who must have left with her family, but they had her death record that she died in a military hospital in Algeria.
Oh,
They recorded it in the Catholic Church records.
okay,
So that would be the only way I could find out anything else about them.
all right.
It's just from those notes that the priests might have written.
Okay, well, then again, just as a reference note for those that are looking for information, did Santa Maria and San Luis Obispo, did they keep their films when Salt Lakes closed them out? You had an option to keep them or send them back.
We sent many of ours back, but not all of them. Still have one.
I've got
full,
Monterey kept
and-
all of ours, and I've got a lot of Swiss films here in Monterey at the library, and we're reopening on Monday.
Do you have Robosacco?
I'm looking for
I don't know when-
Robosacco.
You'll have to wait till I get back in the library on Monday and I can look, but
I have the film
Oh.
number. I'll give it to you later.
yeah, why don't you include it in the email she's going to send me?
Yes,
And
we are desperate for that film.
I've got a whole drawer full of Switzerland films up there.
Ooh,
Savio
sounds
and the Mogano films there, including the census records.
treasure. We'll
So
have
if
to
somebody
compare
needs
film
help with
notes.
that films that may not be available, you say they're no longer available in Salt Lake, some family history centers may have them or kept them when the Salt Lake closed it down. Because I know we got 8,000 rolls of microfilm at our history center.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
Every one of
Well,
them.
awesome.
Yeah.
we might have to drive
Well,
up there to look at
We might have to drive
Robosacco.
up there. We used to have 6,000 microfilm, and then we remodeled our family history center into a training center for family history. And
Uh-huh.
we had no room for 7 cabinets.
Well,
So
we
we,
did a whole remodel too, but we kept all of our cabinets.
Great.
nice.
They
Well,
go-
we'll be
they go floor
talking.
to ceiling now.
Okay,
But
this
they
is
are
great
there.
news.
If anybody's looking for something from Switzerland, if they just email me and I'll look in the library and see if we happen to have that film.
Oh, that'll be great, Gary.
Yeah. Thank you for
Thank
that
you.
info. We didn't even
Yeah.
think to ask that. So
Yeah.
that's, we'll be asking people about that now.
I would.
All right. Thanks. Let's look at more chat questions. Oh, this lady, Vicky has a question.
You had a hand up from Kathy as well.
Okay. Oh,
Mine's
Kathy.
just-
Oh, yes.
Mine's just informational. There's an interesting article that was written in the Tribune back in 2014 about the immigration of the Swiss Italians. And apparently the area where they sold their cheese had been Austrian. And when there was some redistricting that happened in the 1800s, that was absorbed by Italy, and they put a great tariff on their cheeses. So when they said, hey, we're going bankrupt here because we have no place to get rid of our, sell our cheese, no market here. And they heard that California had a climate similar to where they were, they immigrated. And this was around, the one date they have here is 1876. So I just thought that was real interesting.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Now
Kathy,
we know
Vicky, excuse me for interrupting. This is Susan. Vicky, if you could say again the date of that article for people who want to look it up. It's the San Luis Obispo Tribune.
It's the Tribune, and it's March 29th, 2014. And it's a Dan Krieger article.
Thank you.
But you can also I just Googled, Swiss Italians to California or to San Luis Obispo, and that popped up.
Great, thanks.
Interesting.
Thank you. All right, Kathy over here. Kathy G has her hand up.
Oh, I had just asked if you could look up the last name Digatardi. I put it in the chat.
Oh, I see it now. I'm so sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Degottari.
I have 3.
She
You
has
do?
3.
I'll be darned.
Henry Natale,
Okay.
Alina Teresa, and then Amalia.
Did you hear those?
Oh, Lena. Okay.
Lena Teresa,
Mhm.
Henry Henry Natale.
Okay, grandfather.
And Amalia.
Is that
Namalia?
right? Is that a right name? The
How do you
Henry
spell that?
Amalia.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All relatives. Thank you.
So Henry
Oh.
is yours.
Yes. Natalia.
Okay. He
Yeah.
he married a Rigetti.
Yeah, that's my great grandmother.
Florina Olympia.
Yes, that's great grandmother. How do you
Okay,
spell Olympia?
I don't know where in Switzerland he's from. I've got that he was born in December 1867, Ticino, Switzerland. I don't know the village. Where are the De Guattardis from?
Oh, I
know?
do.
Where?
Oh my God, I think it's Lugano. Is that?
Lugano.
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 I'll have to look. I'll have to look it up. But
okay.
From a different canton, I think. But how did you spell Olympia? Because I have it spelled so many different ways.
It's like sometimes the priest would write it Olimpia, and that's what I put in my program.
Perfect.
But we would
Okay.
spell
I
it
knew it was
here with
different. I
Y,
knew
but-
was there a Y or an I? I couldn't remember, but it's I. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. Let's see.
12:29.
Oh yeah, it's about time to stop. We have a lot of homework to do, and we will be getting back to people that gave us their emails and had questions that we couldn't quite get to, or we have some papers to email to them. But we have loved sharing.
And we're here, this program is here at the Family History Center.
Yeah.
If you can come here for a visit, and we can show you what we have in the program and copy what you want, pedigree chart, family groups.
Yeah.
And figure out relationships too, because that's a miraculous tool this program has.
Yeah, it's
to
amazing.
get relationships.
Right.
Want to give the
I think
address?
Hi, Lisa.
Lisa knows.
Lisa knows.
All right.
Okay, everybody can look up the address and directions how to get
Oh,
to.
I'm gonna go, wait, I'm gonna go back and add that screen. Please take a picture of it when I get there. It's the, with all the Family History Center information right here. Let me make it larger. Can you see everything? Okay, because the pictures on the right sometimes cut off some things, but take a photo of it if you want. Our Family History Center director was very happy that I was going to plug the Family History Center and then the new opening hours starting on Tuesday. Please call, if you're driving a distance, please just call. We can't reserve seats, but call and, you know, see
Make
how
sure
busy
I'm
we
here,
are,
or-
or check and see if Midge is here if you want her help. You can email the Family History Center. Oh, and you know what? I just noticed right here where it says CA, there's an underscore. It's very hard to see. CA_ Santa Maria at familyhistorymail.org. If you email or call the Family History Center during call during the open hours, our director will get the messages to Midge, okay? So she's very good at that, and she wants to help people connect to their ancestors, so. All right, that's all we have, Susan.
Okay, well,
have
thank
anything
you
else?
so much.
Well, it was
Both-
fun.
We enjoyed this.
Thank you,
I did.
Sandy. Midge. I wish I had a Midge for some of my brick walls. We appreciate everybody joining us, and we hope to see you in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.